a sentence. Every slide will give you 4 or 5 different sentences based on your background and your experiences. Now, they're very, very easy to adapt, and I will explain as we go. But most of them just require very simple words such as because, and, therefore, and things like that. But we will talk about that more as we go. Also, when you see a star next to a word, for example, what we will cover, how to give company information briefly. If there's a star next to the word, then I will give a little bit more of an explanation on that word. Hopefully most of you will have heard of them. If not, then don't worry, I'm going to explain it. I also have Spanish translations. My Spanish is muy mal, but bear with me, I have the explanation, so it should be fine. So what we're going to cover, how to give company information briefly. Briefly means quickly, easily. Your previous or current position and responsibilities. Briefly in Spanish would be por poco tiempo. Now, it's very important when giving your position and responsibility that they go very naturally and that they connect, really. You should be able to talk very quickly about 2 or 3 of your previous or current positions and follow very, very quickly with the responsibilities. The next question would be, why did you leave your previous job, which is a horrible question, but everybody asks it. So I'm going to try and give you 3 different scenarios as to why you would leave your previous job. Again, the sentences can be applied to yourself. We're going to talk about weaknesses, strengths, and also where do you see yourself in 5 years' time. Now, these are 5 very, very common questions in interviews in English, and it may seem very, very complicated, but it's a lot simpler than you think. And this evening, we're going to give you a lot of different key sentences, impact words, and things that hopefully will help. Now, the next slide. So, when talking about previous employers, past employers, we have a lot of different options. Now, every single interview is going to ask you at some point about your previous employers. Now, the idea is that at the end of this slide, when I've finished explaining it to you, all the keywords, all the different adaptations of each sentence, I would like you to try one of the sentences and apply it to yourself. Now, if you have any problems, we have the messaging, so feel free to, when you think of a sentence, just type it in, and I will choose 2 or 3 examples, common problems, and we will talk about that and we will correct it. Okay? Now, the first one, when talking about past employers, first of all, we need to say what the company does. So we have lots of options here. The company produces, supplies, manufactures, sells, or owns. Now, before we start, what I'd like you to start doing is, if you hear a sentence that is relevant to you, just make a note of it and apply it to yourself. Now, when you're thinking about your past or your current employers, have a think about what they do. Now, does the company produce anything? Do they supply anything? Do they manufacture anything? Sell anything or own anything? Now, supply, excuse my bad Spanish, but in Spanish it should be suministro. So to supply something, so when you supply to another company. Manufacture is to create. Produce, very similar. Sell should be very, very obvious. And owns should be dueño, I think. We can also talk about our main focus was on. Now, you can connect both of these sentences. So my company produces, thank you for the corrections. The company produces, supplies, manufactures, sells, or owns, but our main focus was on something. Now, I'd like you to start thinking now. how this applies to you, what your company did. Next sentence, my previous employer was a market leader. So, market leader should be quite obvious, hopefully to everybody. It's a noun. For example, we could say we have become clear market leaders in the pet food industry. So, very obvious, when you lead something, they lead the market, they are the number one, they are the market leaders, so the top. My former company was one of the leading suppliers. Now, think about that word leading again, and it's going to be top. It's going to be the number one company, or the number one supplier, the number one manufacturer, or the number one seller, or the number one producer of something. Now, hopefully you're starting to think about sentences more relevant to you. Former means previous, so the one before last. The former Prime Minister of France was Nicolas Sarkozy. The former Prime Minister of England was Tony Blair. Okay, so we've got previous, we've got former, both the same. We also have current, which is now, so that's actual in Spanish. We can also say that we were a small company, but we had a very strong client list, including. Now, including is quite an important word. We can use this to list options. So we can say my responsibilities included so-and-so, etc., etc., etc. Now, we don't need to say all. We use the word including so that we don't have to list all of them. We were owned by, or we were a subsidiary of. Now, subsidiary, I believe, is filiale. So it's a smaller company owned by a larger company that probably does something different. Not completely necessary, but a nice option to use. Also, we worked with companies such as. Now, this sentence will be very, very good when talking about smaller companies. It's very, very easy when talking about previous employers, if it was Santander or Repsol or something very, very famous. But if we were self-employed, which I believe is autonomous or owning your own company, then it's very important to talk about your credentials, the things that you've done, the companies that you've worked with, the things that you've achieved. Which leads us nicely to the next sentence. I was self-employed, so think autonomous. You have your own company, you are not employed by another company. Another option, I ran my own company and my clients included, etc. Now, again, included is a very good word that you can not only use in job interviews, but when listing things. Now, we can't always list every single option. So we would use something such as included, or, as I just said, such as Repsol, Santander, and then we would list. So I was self-employed, or I ran my own company, and my clients included Santander, Barclays, Repsol, etc. And the word included shows the interviewee that we do not need to list everything. We are just including some of the companies that we work for. So, keyword, supplies, owns, our main focus, principal. My previous employer was a market leader. Now, if you were not a market leader, perhaps you could say the top 5 or the top 10. And then we would say, my previous employer was in the top 10 companies of Spain. Or my previous employer was in the top 10 of car manufacturers. Now, I'd like you to start thinking about sentences for yourself. Think about what they do. We can also link a main focus. So we can say the company produced cars, but their main focus was on the doors, the manufacturing of doors. for cars. My previous employer was a market leader. So we can connect some sentences. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide. Now, it's very important that when talking about previous companies, that we then include our role and our responsibilities, which is actually what the interviewer wants to hear most, I would imagine. So, first sentence. In my previous, former, or current meaning actual in Spanish, position, I was, or if it's a current position, I am. Now, I want you to start thinking about what you did or what you do, what your role includes, and the responsibilities. Now, a very, very good technique that you can use here is listing the responsibilities. So, in my previous or former or current position, I was responsible for admin, management of staff, etc. Now, if you're not particularly confident in English, listing things work very, very well. It sounds direct, it sounds clear, and yes, it's fantastic. It sounds very, very English, actually. So, in my previous, former, current position, I was or am responsible for the day-to-day running of, or the organization of, or the handling of something. Now, day-to-day running means your daily responsibilities, things that you did every single day. Running of usually tends to mean management. If you run something, that means you're the manager, or perhaps if you're running a department, then you would be the manager. If you're running a company, it's your company. So running of is always going to be some form of management. The organization of, now this can be the organization of staff holidays, admin, anything. Also, another quite important word is handling of. Again, that means when you do something. If you have to handle a situation, that means that you have to run the company. That means you have to deal with problems. We can also go smaller, so we can handle a problem. And that just means to solve a problem, or to take care of a problem, or to manage a problem. Very simple sentence. My daily responsibilities included or are. Notice the difference between are and included. My daily responsibilities are. Now this is where we'd have to give a complete list. If we said my daily responsibilities included, then that means that we're going to give just a few examples of what we do. So that's important. Remember, included we can also say such as. My daily responsibilities included or were or are. Okay, next one. I report directly to the director or management team or head of. Obviously, I reported in the past if it's a previous position. Now, this is a good one because it shows responsibility, it shows authority. Obviously, if you're reporting directly to the director or the management team, then the interviewer knows that you hold some responsibility. Okay, next one. I gained a lot of experience of, and now this is where we would give an example. Perhaps this is Photoshop. Perhaps this is SAP. Perhaps it's a particular technique. So it could be people skills. It could be management. So I gained a lot of experience of Photoshop during my time at the company. I worked independently or as part of a team or department. Obviously, a very big difference and obvious difference here. If I work independently, then the company will know that I worked alone. If I worked as part of a team, then obviously we cannot take full responsibility for everything, and we have to say that we were part of a team or a department. Now, an easy way to continue from here is I worked independently or as part of a team or department on something, on a project. I was point of contact. Now, this is quite an important one, POC. You may hear this quite often, point of contact, POC, or even better, single point of contact, SPOC. Now, when you are a point of contact, that means you are the person that the client or the customer goes to, or perhaps the project manager goes to. So if there's any issues, if there's any problems, they come to you. Now, an important preposition to remember, on the project. So we can say I was point of contact for or on the project, or more importantly, with the client. Some important words. Now, I would like you to start putting sentences together. I want you to think about your previous or your current position. I want you to think about what you're responsible for. Were you responsible for the day-to-day running of something? Were you responsible for the organization of something? Were you responsible for the management of something or the handling of something? I want you to start thinking about your daily responsibilities, so the responsibilities that you had to deal with every day. Also, if you reported directly to a director or a manager or the management team, then again, that's certainly a good point, a selling point. Also, I want you to start thinking about the experience that you gained. Now, we gain experience. We don't get experience or earn experience. We gain experience. It's just the word that goes with experience. Now, so think about skills, think about software, think about techniques, think about things that you did. I gained a lot of experience of something during my time at the company. Also think about whether you worked independently or part of a team or a department, because we can't forget that. And also if you had any experience of being a point of contact on a project or point of contact with a client. Okay? So I would hope that you're starting to put some sentences together. If you have any problems or you're not sure, use the chat option, and I'm going to choose a couple of examples and make some corrections. So I'll just give you a little bit of time to think about that before moving on to the next slide. So think previous, former, current. No, we can't use a lot of experience. We can actually, but we would still have to say I gained a lot of experience. Again, we don't say I got, we don't say anything like that. We always gain experience. So I gain a lot of experience, or more importantly, I gained a lot of experience during my time at company X. Okay? Always, we gain experience. Good. Okay, we're going to move on to the next slide. Again, previous role and responsibilities, sounding positive. Very, very important. With all interviews, we are going to want to sound positive, obviously. So, while at your company, I gained valuable experience of something. So again, this can be software, this can be working with clients. Valuable is a good word to use that just lifts it slightly. Slightly meaning just a little bit. So while at Santander, I gained valuable experience of something. Next sentence. This job helped me increase my knowledge of something. Knowledge. Okay, let me just check my notes. In Spanish, conocimientos. Conocimientos. Exactly. Thank you, everyone. Yes, good. So, This job helped me increase my knowledge of something. Again, very, very important. This job helped me increase my knowledge of SAP. This job helped me increase my knowledge of dealing with customers. This job helped me increase my knowledge of Photoshop. Again, if you could try and apply this to yourself, that would be perfect. Again, the interviewer wants to hear only relevant things. So there's no reason for us to start listing things that are not viable for our job. Next sentence, I gained hands-on experience of. So, hands-on. This is when you've physically done something. I did actually try to find a Spanish translation for this, and it was quite difficult. Hands-on just means you've done it. You've actually physically done it. So I've gained hands-on experience of SAP. Now that means I've done it. This is just a good way of saying and emphasizing the fact that not only do you have knowledge, but you've done it. Sounding positive again, I improved my knowledge of something, SAP, Photoshop, Word, Microsoft Office, anything. I improved my knowledge of something during my time at, and then you list the name of the company, you give the name of the company. Again, I gained a strong working knowledge of something in my former position. A very good sentence. Strong working knowledge is very, very similar to hands-on. Not everything is physical, not everything is going to be hands-on. So a strong working knowledge can mean that you've done it, that you've been part of a team that's done it. And again, we gain experience and we can gain knowledge. Gain is a very good verb to use. Next one. I was required to deal with customers or manage schedules. So a schedule, I think it's programmer in Spanish. To deal with means to manage. If we have a problem, we can deal with that problem. Basically means we can manage that problem. Improve. I'm not sure if any of you know how to say improve in Spanish. Actually, yes, schedules is, it's not exactly the same as timetable. Think timetable for teachers. Think timetable for when you're at school. Yes, thank you everyone. Yeah, improve, exactly. Yeah, agenda. Yes, certainly agenda. Improve, mejora. Thank you. We'll get to milestone later. Milestone is completely different. We'll ask me again in a minute and we'll come back to that. Schedules would be, no, milestone is not an exact time. It is an exact time, but it's a milestone would be a milestone in history. So it's a milestone. Okay, perfect, good. Okay, improved, mejorar, yes, we know. Knowledge, yes, good. I was required to deal with. The time I spent at allowed me to improve or to gain experience of something. Yes, schedules would certainly be planificación. Yes, perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Perfect. Next one. The time I spent at, and then we list the company, allowed me to improve or gain experience of something. Now again, we left our previous role, so we need to sound positive. Okay, next slide. If anyone has any problems with their sentences, please feel free to just send a message. Always positive, perfect, yes, thank you. Okay, now a little bit of a difficult question. Why did you leave your previous position? Things to think about. Now, did you have a good reason to leave? Again, like Jose Antonio said, we have to make it sound positive. Did it improve your career? Did you gain experience of something? The interviewer doesn't want to hear problems. Did you leave on good terms? I don't know if any of you have a good idea about good terms, but we've got two options, good terms or bad terms. It either means that you left and things were bad, or you left and things were good, meaning your relationship. Trying to think about references. References, job references. So the people that talk about you. At the bottom of your CV, maybe you list 2 past employers who can give you a reference. So we want to talk about references and relationships. Were you dismissed or were you made redundant? Now, this is a very, very important point. Dismissed means you were fired. That means it was your fault, you did something wrong, and you were dismissed. Made redundant means economic problems. So perhaps because of crisis, the department was closed. Very, very big difference. Now, you maybe have an easy answer. I left because I had a short-term contract and it ended, or unfortunately, it was a temporary position. How to start? If you have, laid off is exactly the same as redundant. Okay? Laid off is informal for redundant. So, how to start? I'm very proud. Proud. I don't know if anyone has any ideas of what proud means. Dismiss means fired. Yes, exactly. But fired is not something that you would say in an interview. So please remember that. Dismissed is the official word. How to start? I'm very proud. So when you're proud of something, orgulloso, I believe, of what I achieved, lograr. So we need to be proud. We need to be happy about the things that we've learned or we've achieved at our company. I've loved my time at. I was very happy at. I've gained a lot of experience, knowledge of something at company something. Okay. I have gained a lot of experience or knowledge of something at company something. When I use the word letter X, that's where we would put software or company Santander or something like that. I have learnt a lot during my time there. Very easy sentence that we can use once. I've been lucky to have the opportunity to work for company something. Javier, what is the difference between? Could you, if you'd like the answer, could you just give me a little bit more details? The difference between what? So we always want to sound positive at the beginning. I'm proud of what I achieved, what I learnt. I've loved my time. I was very happy. Hopefully you're all starting to make some sentences now that are relevant to you. Next slide. Now, this, after the last slide, dismissed and redundant. Okay. Very quickly, because it is very important. Again, dismissed means fired. That means it was your fault. You've done something wrong. And because of this, your company fired you. Okay. Redundant is economic problems. Imagine the crisis. Hopefully everyone understands crisis. I'm going to write it down. And because of economic problems, your company closed down. Now, I hope everyone remembers this because it's very, very important. Dismissed, redundant. Okay? Now, after the last, we want to sound positive. We can then introduce with however or but. Now, I was very happy with what I achieved at Santander, but now, I am ready for something new or some new challenges. Very easy. This means that you've done everything you can in your current position and you need something different. I feel I have progressed as much as possible in my current role. Very, very diplomatic. I recommend this sentence. Very, very good. I feel I have learnt all I can at, and then we list the company. Again, very diplomatic, shows that you want to learn more. I would like to work for a company more suited with my career plans. Now, I believe it's apropriado, I think. Well, it is. Okay, thank you. I would like to work for a company more suited with my career plans. I would like to work for a company with more opportunities. Okay, very, very quickly. Like I said at the beginning, the asterisks mean that I'm going to give a little bit more of an explanation on the words with the asterisks, with the stars. I would like to work for a company with more opportunities to progress. Very diplomatic, very good. Shows that you not only want to move on, you want to do more, you want to progress, but perhaps this company is the ones that you want to progress with. This position is the next step up for me. Now, I've put a star next to it, but I believe everybody should understand this. Step up means to progress, a step up. So if you are an administrative assistant, a step up for you would be an administrator. So you've been promoted. Okay, next slide. Why did you leave? If made redundant. Now remember, redundant can also mean laid off in informal terms, and this was not your fault. It was economic issues. Unfortunately, due to the crisis, unfortunately, due to poor management, unfortunately, due to loss of investment, due to downsizing, recortar. So the company has, because of economic problems, had to decrease its size. Maybe they've had to close departments. So unfortunately, due to the crisis, I was made redundant. The department was shut down. Now, I put an exclamation mark next to this, but I don't, well, an asterisk, sorry, not an exclamation mark. But shut down is quite self-explanatory because of economic issues. The company closed down. Again, the company finished. It was a last in, first out policy, and I had only been there for a short time. Now, last in, first out maybe is not something you've heard before, but again, should be quite self-explanatory. If you were the last in the company, they cannot fire or make redundant people that have been there for a long time. So you were the last in, therefore you are the last out. Horrible situation, but Tel Aviv. Why did you leave? If dismissed. So think fired. Now, important, we don't want to sound like we're complaining or shifting blame. Blame, I believe, is culpa, and we shift blame from one person to another. We want to sound positive. We do not want to complain. So, yes, perfect. Thank you. Culpa. After some management changes, new expectations were set. So, quite expectations can mean your company they changed the job responsibilities, or they increased the targets, or they changed the qualifications required to work there. Expectations. After some management changes, new expectations were set, and they did not fit my skills. Fit is very similar to suit, so think appropriable. Appropriable. And because of this, my skills did not fit, and as a result, my contract was ended. They decided to bring someone in. Okay, we'll talk about shift in 2 seconds. They decided to bring someone in who had more experience of something. So somebody that, just had more experience than you, unfortunately. Thank you, everyone, for explaining shift. Shift, remember, is a 100% change. Okay? So, cambio, yes. Tomo de trabajo, yes. But 100%. If I shift how I feel, that means I've had a complete change. We can also say we agreed the job didn't suit my skills, experience, and I was let go. Now, let go is an important one because in an interview, We certainly don't want to say I was fired. Redundant is fine, but let go is a very, very, very soft way of explaining fired or made redundant. Okay? Okay. Shift blame is when, again, shift means to change 100%. Now, if we're shifting blame, that means that we're giving 100% of the culpa to the other person. So technically, it's similar. Thank you, everyone, for writing your ideas on the side. Next one. Again, why did you leave? Sound positive. Regardless of why you left, if you were made redundant, if you were fired, if you were let go, which can actually mean both, but in a very soft way, we still want to sound positive. And I know I've said this before, but sounding positive in an interview is very, very important. So it's always good, after giving your reasons as to why you left, to give something positive. I am proud of my time at company so-and-so. I am proud of what I achieved at company Santander. I'm proud of what I achieved at Santander. Very, very good to give examples. For example, I was responsible for, or I was part of a team that was responsible for. Remember, we can link a lot of these sentences, so I hope you're taking notes. Again, sounding very, very positive. I gained valuable experience while at company. Okay. Now, I am still in contact with my previous employer manager, and he is, or she is, one of my references. Remember what reference means. It's very important, and I think if you have a reference, then the company knows that you've done a very good job. Now, also, don't forget, throughout the entire presentation, we want to try and make these sentences relevant to the job that we're interviewing for. So, for example, if I said that I am proud of what I achieved at, or I was a part of a team that was responsible for, we want to try and make it relevant, relevante, to the job that we're applying for. Okay? Good. Next slide. Weaknesses. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the word weaknesses. Now, I believe it's debil. If I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I'm just going to write it down here. Debil. Thank you. Something that we're not good at. Horrible, horrible question, but probably something that you're going to be asked. Now, very important to remember, there are alternative ways of asking about your weaknesses, so don't be confused. For example, what would your previous boss or previous employer say you could improve on? A very, very soft way of asking about what you're not very good at. Another example, if you could change something about yourself, what would it be? Again, exactly the same. What do you think you can improve on? Now, I'd like you to just take a second and start thinking about a weakness. Now, very important. How to choose an answer. We need to choose a weakness that is acceptable to the job you are applying for. So, by this I mean, if you're applying for a job in IT, then you cannot say that you cannot use computers or your weakness is computers. So you have to choose a weakness that is acceptable to the job that you are applying for and not a weakness related to any of its required skills or qualities. Everyone understand? Select a fixable weakness. So fixable, sorry, I'm just looking through my notes. Fixable is something that we can fix, something that we can change. I'm just going to write the word down because I'm not very good at pronunciation. Irregular, I think. Perfect, thank you. So it needs to be something that you can work on, something that you can change, something that is not really related to the job that you're applying for. Okay. So select a fixable weakness, one that can be improved with time and experience. Perfectionist is the most common, but that's a good reason not to do it because everybody's done it. Demonstrate that you have solved a problem. I don't know if anyone has an idea of solve, but I think it's really similar. Resolver, I think. Or you are working on. I don't know if anyone has any ideas for that one. I'll give you a minute. Working on solving this issue through training, more experience, change of attitude. Perfect, thank you. Yep. Solving this issue through training, more experience, change of attitude, or if possible, give examples of change and improvement. Very, very, very important. So first step, we don't want to choose a weakness that is really related to the job you're doing. And if there are any examples of change or improvement or where you've learnt from your mistake, 100% we must give it. Very, very important. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Next slide. Extremely sincere. Leadership is then, could be a weakness. Leadership would not be a good weakness because then, you know, you can work and you can do your job, but then if you ever want to get promoted, they're always going to remember that leadership is a big weakness. You know, I don't think you should be that specific. I think you should be a little bit more general. So don't choose something that they really want, because everybody wants a leader in some way. You know, everybody wants to see that you want to work and progress and things like that. Okay? So leadership may be a little bit too specific. We want to try and keep it general. Weaknesses can include public speaking is a very good one. You know, because that's something to do with being shy. Timido, I believe. Being more decisive, again, something that you learn with time. Decido. To delegate. Delegar, I believe. Public speaking, being more decisive, to delegate more is something I must work on or gain more experience in. Easy. I think one area I could improve in would be being more decisive, delegating more, being a more confident public speaker. Timido, thank you. Sometimes I can be too direct, too strict, too demanding, but I am working on this. Strict should be pretty simple, I think, is stricto. Demanding, difícil, perhaps.
Hola. He hablado con Jonathan y en un minuto está otra vez con nosotros. Vale. Quedan 5 presentaciones, 5 transparencias, luego nada, en 10-15 minutos cerramos ya con los últimos retoques que nos dé Jonathan para cerrar el seminario. Venga, le esperamos. Jonathan, ¿nos oyes?
Perfect. Sorry about that, everyone. Internet or computer or something dropped out then. Can everyone...
Hello again. So we have, in that case, we have 10 minutes more just for you to tell us the rest of the things and just wrap up. I think you have time in 10 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yes,
so
more than enough time. Everyone can hear me? Everyone okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So, public speaking, being more decisive, to delegate is something that I must work on, gain more experience in. I think one area I can improve in would be, so think, when you think about one area, think about people skills, think about computer skills, think about something that is not related to the job that you're applying for. Next one. Sometimes I can be too direct, strict, estricto, demanding. I don't know if anyone has an idea of demanding. If anybody does, let me know. I've got it here. It's a strange. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I don't know how to pronounce that. Exigente. Oh, exigente. Yes, exactly. Very good. Exigente mucho, or difícil, I think. But I'm working on this, so positive bit. I've since taken the opportunity to gain more experience in this subject area or skill. Very important to say that you are trying to work on this. I feel strongly that with time and experience, I can overcome dominar, perhaps, or superior, this issue or this problem. Probably, thank you, everyone. Yep, superior. We probably don't want to use the word problem because we don't want to make it sound very, very negative. Weaknesses. Okay, so hopefully you're all writing sentences at this point. Next one. Strengths. Punto fuerza, I think. Something that we're good at. And a strength that is perfect. Thank you. Yes, Jose, thank you. Perfect. Everyone, perfect. Remember to find a strength that is relevant to the job, relevante, that you're applying for. Find a way of communicating strengths in a way that feels comfortable to you. Now, I know that everybody does not want to say that they're fantastic at everything. So we just need to find a way that's comfortable for you. Now, good ways of doing that would be giving examples of things that you've done. Now, you don't need to say that you're fantastic. You just need to let your experience talk for itself. Remember to try and make it relevant to the job that you're applying for. If you're having problems, brainstorm. I believe brainstorm is pretty much exactly the same. Session de brainstorming. Brainstorm if needed. Both experience and skills can be used, and be prepared to demonstrate your strength with an example. So everything that you do, you need to have an example. If you're going to say you're good at something, remember to give an example. And also be specific. So when I say be specific, I mean be specific in a way that makes it relevant to the job that you're applying for. Okay. Next. Examples, language resources, sentences that you can use. I think my greatest strength is as a problem solver, my managerial skills, my ability to adapt, my strong work ethic, ética, del trabajo duro, perhaps. This is the way we work, the things that we believe in. So I believe in working hard or working well. That's my work ethic. Work hard and don't shift blame. That could be my work ethic. I'd say my strength is, and then we give it. It can be PowerPoint, it can be Photoshop, it can be people skills, because, and now this is when we want to demonstrate with an example. Now, a good way of saying that is to say that I was faced with an issue or difficult problem and I was able to something. Faced with, I think, hacer frente a, I think. When I worked for, perfect, thank you. When I worked for Santander, I was given the task of doing something, And because of my ability or my knowledge of or my experience of, and then this is where we would give the strength, I was able to solve the problem, or I was able to fix the issue. I have proven, probado, that I can adapt to any working environment or any situation. For example, again, examples are really, really important. To prove, probar, or demonstratar, I think. Demonstrar. Next slide, because we're running out of time now. But we're almost to the end. Perfect, thank you. Yes, demonstrar. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What to remember? The interviewer wants to understand what your career goals are, and if they fit or suit with this position, and if you would be a good investment. Ambiente de trabajo, working environment. Perfect. Thank you, Jose. An investment meaning investment for them. You know, they're going to pay you, they're going to give you time, they're going to give you a position. They need to make sure you are a good investment. In today's competitive market, employers want committed staff. I'm going to write the word because perhaps you don't understand. Yes, perfect. Comprometido. Maybe not the best pronunciation. Prepare your answer. Be fairly general. Okay, so we don't want to be too specific. We want to be a little bit vague, while stressing any points relevant to your position, to the position in question. So prepare your answer and be a little bit general. We need to be able to adapt while stressing any points relevant to this, about how you want to gain experience in something or how you want to get better at something. Stress your interest and sound enthusiastic about the job at hand. Job at hand is doing right now. Now, the one that you're about to start. Next. Language resources. I don't know where I will be in 5 years' time, but within a year, dentro tiempo, I hope to land, to get several high-profile clients. High-profile, prominente, I believe. I don't know where I'll be in 5 years' time, but within a year, I hope to land several high-profile clients. It has always been a goal of mine to work for your company and would like the chance to improve my skills because I believe they are a great match, correspondar a, the opportunities here. I feel I am ready to grow within a company such as yours and would like the opportunity to gain more experience or knowledge. Again, very, very positive. I would like expertise. Expertise, again, pronunciation not fantastic, so I'm going to write it. Pericia? I feel I am ready to grow within a company such as yours. Experiencia. Perfect. Practica. Perfect. Thank you. I would like to gain more expertise in my field. Campo, I suppose. Field can mean IT. It can mean sales. It can mean research and development. I think it's Campo, I think. And take advantage. Pronunciation not great. Thank you, Campo, yes. Aprovechar algo. To take advantage of something. Again, any new challenges, a key word. Sounds very proactive, very, very good. Next slide. We're almost to the end now. However, if you have a very, very clear idea, we can just be very direct. It's always been a dream of mine to work for your company, and I feel perfect. Aprovechar, sacar, to take advantage of. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Jose. It's always been a dream of mine to work for your company, and I feel this is the next step for me. After this, I would hope to gain more experience and progress with the company. Very important line. I suggest you write this down. In 5 years' time, I would like to be in charge of, responsible for my own team or department. I would like to play a more central role in the department with more responsibility and more of an input in the end product. Very, very good sentence. I'd like to play a more central role is very good. That means you want to be more important. You want to have more responsibility. With more responsibility and more of an input, aportación in the end product. I'm just going to write input. Yes, perfect. Okay. Aportar, input, aportar in the end product. What you give to the customers. So very, very important. Aportación. Perfect. Thank you. Right. Last slide. Finally, be prepared. Research, investigación, the company, and identify how your skills suit the requirements of the job. Another good piece of advice, pronunciation, PTD. If you see a word and it's got a P, T, or a D, there are some exceptions. Use those. An American would say important. An English would say important. Bullet point technique, so puntos. If you want to list the things you can do, list them. Perfect. Bullet point them. It sounds direct. It sounds proactive. Use your notes and apply the sentences to you regarding this presentation. And remember that interviews are always difficult. So even for me in English, it's very difficult. So if in doubt, keep your answers simple. Use positive keywords, verbs, impact words, implement, delegate, as we've discussed in this presentation. And that's everything. Sorry for the problems. There was a little bit of an issue with internet, and that was it. Done. Thank you.
Perdonar que no lo tenía encendido. Jonathan.
Yes.
It has been really a pleasure to have you with us. You see you have a lot of thank you at the chat. Okay,
fantastic.
You are already answering. Do you want two people ask you for a question? Just one question before ending.
If any, yes, of course, yes.
¿Alguien tiene alguna pregunta? ¿Alguien quiere hacer alguna pregunta final? If not, I hope you come back again another day to explain us more things about how to get that job.
We have a little bit of a question of technique.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what bullet points would be in Spanish, but I think it's punto. A bullet point is when you're using words. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Punto.
Yeah.
So it's just an easy way of listing things. So I was responsible for administration, point 1. Staff holidays, point 2. Now we don't need to say point 1, point 2. We just say I was responsible for admin. The bullet points. Okay, done.
Okay.
Oh, I think Jose has the question.
Jose, just the last question. Jose, do you have just the last question? If not, we can close this time.
I think it's done.
Jose, no. Okay. So in that case, Jonathan, because we are running out of time because because of the problem of connection, so I have to give you thank you Okay, and also Angels and Essential for Businesses, for you to come here with us and explain us 1 hour, during 1 hour, how to get that job. It has been really clear, the presentation.
Great, perfect. I think Jose has a. What if they ask us about how much money we earn? Okay. It's
What
a
about
really
if they ask us about how the money we can earn?
very important point, certainly. Jose. Oh, on the internet. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes.
Or is it? Yes. Jose, if they ask you about money, that's a very vague question. If they ask you about money, it depends how much money you want to earn. Then, of course, you are very, very direct, and you say that you want an increase, or you base it on your experience. If they talk about the money that you've earned in the past, then of course you tell the truth. That's it. Earnings is a difficult one, certainly, and that's more up to you. If you feel confident enough to say what you want, then perfect. Say it. Definitely. If you don't, then you're going to have to give examples as to why you deserve that much money. Sorry, I think he's putting more questions. Which would just mean explaining your past. How much money do you earn? Do you expect to earn? Okay, this is completely based on the job that you did before and the money that you want to earn. Certainly. If they ask you about the money that you want to earn, I don't recommend going into a lot of details. I think you need to choose a figure based on your experience and say it very, very directly, which I know is more difficult just to say than to actually do. But when they ask you about your last salary, you tell them the truth. If the position is similar, then they're going to know already. If you have a very clear idea as to how much you want, then you have to find a happy medium. So a happy medium would mean somewhere between what you think they will offer you and somewhere between your expectations. But we could probably cover that in the next one, I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jonathan.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And we see you the next time.
Next time, definitely, yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It has been really a pleasure.
Ciao, everyone. Bye.
Bye.